Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Data Playbook. Here we're going through the Week 10 Sunday games, so let's get into the next preview. And get into another divisional game. You have LA at San Francisco, where LA's favored on the money line with a spread of 5.5 and a total line of 49.5. I'll switch them over to the averages so you can match them up with the rankings, where you have LA with a scoring rank of 8, an allowed scoring rank of 2, a passing rank of 4, so all pretty good numbers right there. And then about average for everything else, with their allowed passing rank of 17, a rushing rank of 17, allowed rushing rank of 12, and then tight end 16 and 7. LA has a scoring rank of 8 and an allowed scoring rank of 2, so they're pretty good at scoring and very good at stopping their opponents. They also have a great passing rank of 4, and then everything else falls about average. With San Francisco, they have a great passing rank of 3, a pretty good allowed scoring rank of 10, and then everything else is either average for their defense here or pretty bad offensively. So even though they have Christian McCaffrey, their rushing rank of 26 has not been great, and they struggle to score, even though they're pretty good at stopping their opponents from scoring. Your quarterbacks for this game are Matthew Stafford and Mac Jones. Matthew Stafford averages 20.2 fantasy points per game. Mac Jones has averaged 15.3 fantasy points per game. Stafford has 2 interceptions on the season, with 1 fumble lost due to a sack and 1 rushing fumble as well, for a total of 4 turnovers. Mac Jones has 5 interceptions this season, with 2 fumbles lost due to a sack, for a total of 7 turnovers this season. We'll get into their averages now, along with seeing how they impact the rushing game. Stafford only averages 2.6 carries per game, giving him about maybe 12 to 13% of the team's total carries. Mac Jones gets 3.8 carries per game, which gives him about 11.4% of the team's total carries. Your running backs are Kyren Williams and Christian McCaffrey, with Williams getting 15.9 average fantasy points per game this season, and McCaffrey getting 25.7, even though they're not great in their rushing category. Williams also has 2 fumbles this season, where McCaffrey has none. If we look at their season averages, we can see that much of that number for their fantasy probably comes from receiving, since McCaffrey might be a heavy receiving back, but we'll see more of that maybe with the receivers. For now, if we look at the rushing carry share, with Williams, he gets 63.7% of the team's total carries, only second to Blake Corum, and Christian McCaffrey gets a whopping 71.2% of the team's total carries, and he only occasionally gives it up to Brian Robinson with 17.3% of the team's total carries as the second largest carrier. And getting to the number 1 receivers, you have Puka Nacua and Juwan Jennings. Nacua getting 23.1 average fantasy points per game this season, and Juwan getting about 8.8 with no turnovers. We'll just go to the averages. And then we'll look at their receiving share. With Nacua, he gets 33.3% of the team's total share, and that would be the largest share for anybody on the team. With Juwan Jennings, he only gets about 11% of the team's total receiving share. I do think that he's had a couple weeks in there where he was hurt or didn't do so well, but still, that's pretty small for being the number 1 receiver. Looking at the number 2 receivers in this game, you have Devontae Adams and Kendrick Bourne, and that's because Ricky Pearsall is still out hurt. So Devontae Adams averages 16.6 fantasy points per game, and Kendrick Bourne has averaged 9.5. Once again, no turnovers, so we'll just go to the averages and look at the receiving share, where Devontae Adams gets 23% of the team's total receiving share, which is also the second largest, which is what you expect for the number 2 receiver. Over here with Kendrick Bourne, he gets 20.2% of the team's total receiving share, which is a pretty large share, especially compared to the number 1 receiver, and that's the second largest share on the team, but that's only second to what looks like to be Christian McCaffrey, where he's the largest receiver on San Francisco, getting 27.3% of the total receiving yards. Ending out with our tight ends, we have Tyler Higbee and George Kittle. Tyler Higbee gets about 5.9 fantasy points per game this season, and George Kittle has averaged about 8.4. With no turnovers, we can go straight to the averages and look at their receiving share, where Tyler Higbee gets about 6.3% of the team's total receiving share, and over here with George Kittle, he gets about 4.3% of the team's total receiving share. So it would seem like in this game that the tight ends won't be overly useful, as both teams are very good at defending them, and both teams aren't very good at using them. But also, very notably, both teams have a great passing rank with about an average passing defense. So it'll be interesting to see which one ends up winning out there. But of course, it always comes down to me, most importantly, the scoring rank, where LA is much better at scoring than San Francisco is, and they're even better at stopping their opponents from scoring than San Francisco is. So unless San Francisco can really change that up in the passing game somehow, maybe use more rushing from McCaffrey or something here, But somehow San Francisco needs to pick up that scoring rank in order to win this game. So that's all I have for this game today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment on what else you might want to see in the future. Other than that, thank you so much for watching.